Hi Earth signs, welcome to your Leo season Lionsgate reading. I wanted to come on here and give you guys, what's intended to be a pretty quick reading. This is similar to what I do out in community events, if you're familiar with that. It's going to be a full spread, and we may pull a oracle card to clarify, and we'll just, get right through it. And if you want to look at your situation more in depth, I do offer private readings. That information is down below. I'm going to give you some quick information on the Lionsgate portal. The Lionsgate portal opened today, July 26th, and it stays open until August 12th. But the actual Lionsgate cosmic event is 8/8, August 8th. Obviously a very powerful number tied to infinity, tied to abundance. It's just a very potent time. We find this as a time when a lot of people go through spiritual awakenings, or they go through an up-leveling. They get the fire ignited under them to just to move forward with a project, or making changes in their lives. We also have planets in retrograde right now, so lots going on. The Lionsgate is tied to Sirius, which is our spiritual sun, and it has ties to ancient Egypt and a whole lot of things. So I would highly recommend that you look further into that. And again, this reading is for Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. It's a collective reading, so it may not resonate for everyone. If it doesn't resonate for you, you might want to look at your moon or rising, or other strong placements, or stellium, where you have multiple planets in a specific sign or element, like fire, something like that. You might want to look at that one. And if you're not sure about your chart, that's something I can help you with in a customizable session. But you can also get some information on Cafe Astrology for free. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm using the Light Seers Tarot, and I'm going to pull a full spread, and I will show you guys the cards and explain more as we go along. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right. So I'm getting, and the reason for the long pause is I have a few interpretations coming through here. So bear with me. There may be a couple of different ways this goes. So you may want to watch the whole thing, even if the first part's not resonating for you. I am going to maybe shift gears at some point, just so you know. So the recent past, as in like 2 weeks, 2 months time frame, is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is about, it's our family, right? It's oftentimes a romantic partnership. It's having everything, having completion. Cups is tied to our emotions, so that's why it's typically a romantic or a very important, family relationship. And what I'm getting here maybe is that one of the partners has been working very hard on themselves. Be it with the Pentacles, are tied to our career, finances, could be studies. But this is somebody who's really putting in the effort to improving their situation, be it financial, be it emotional, working on themselves. And I feel like there's either frustration, if this is you working on yourself, maybe that you're not quite where you want to be, or that this other person isn't putting the effort in that you are. And, you know, what I'm getting here is, you know, the current present energy is the Fool, which is the very start of the tarot. It's a major arcana. Major arcana meaning that it's a little bit stronger of an energy. There's only 22 of the major arcana out of 78. And this is the start of the cycle, the start of the process. The Fool is a leap of faith. It's a new beginning. So I'm getting that there's potential for this to work and to heal and to come together if the other person is willing to put in the work that you're putting in. So the Fool can represent a fresh start, right? Somebody taking a leap of faith, giving somebody the chance, right? Because most of these things are powerful cards. I'm getting that you do want to heal this situation, because in the position of like what you're wanting is the Four of Swords. But, you know, this Four of Swords, and I read images obviously as well as the card, you know, the traditional meaning of the cards. But, you know, this person is curled up on their own, kind of like with their heart, you know, outside them, right? They're not, you know, they're in solitude. And I'm getting that, like, you've put your heart on the line, you've put yourself out there, and the question is this person going to take the leap with you, or are you going to have to move forward? And you know, I'm getting, it's not overly a negative energy, it's just that somebody here is, you know, and this is not putting someone down, but somebody here is still like, you know, the Eight of Pentacles level, or maybe they haven't even started putting the work, or they're just kind of doing the bare minimum, and you're at the King level, right? You are like, Kings are like, you don't want to say the masters, everybody always has more work to do, right? But you've been working at something a long time, or perhaps, you know, it could be financially, you know, maybe you're supporting this person. It could even be a friend, you know, for some of you, a friend or a family member, somebody taking advantage of you, where you're always paying their way, they're asking to borrow money, you know, something like that, where you're just like, you know, this person means well, but they're holding you back. I'm getting that because you can see, like, in the Fool, she's holding onto this rope, and it's like she's so at the precipice of like this huge, massive, like, shift, rise, you know, and she's being held back by the situation. And I am getting, you know, we have the Lovers card here. So it does kind of feel like, you know, for some of you, this is a relationship that's maybe out of balance, based on the other cards that are here. You know, the path forward is the Three of Cups. So for some of you, this could be, you know, making time for yourselves. Like if you have children, you know, making time for yourselves to go on a date, to work on yourselves, you know, making that a priority, and to see if things shift. But for some of you, it's like, you know, you are being held back because this is like the celebration card. This is the community card. This is you being free. Being free to be with your friends, to explore creative outlets, you know, to write a new chapter. This could be, you know, for some of you, this could be a job situation where, you know, or school, or something that you've put a lot of time and effort into, and maybe you're like, this isn't really what I want to do anymore. Where it's like, you know, the King of Pentacles is there because it brings the money in, but, you know, you're feeling drawn to do something different. You're feeling drawn away from the 3D existence into, spiritual endeavors. And so for that, again, you could start doing things on the side, joining community groups, um, you know, going to spiritual gatherings, just getting yourself out there, volunteering, if you do Reiki, for example, or, volunteering to help people, out. There's a lot of events in the community where you can do that and get experience and meet people. Just get out and make connections. I am getting that, like, this whole situation, there has to be a complete transformation for this to move forward, right? Because the pull is so strong, like, you're not going to be able to resist it much longer, or it's going to affect your health, your mental health, your physical health, everything. So we have the Death and Rebirth card. And this is a very, in this deck, and this must be why I was drawn to use this deck, it has the infinity symbol in the middle, and it says rebirth as well as death. So, the infinity symbol, again, is the 8 sideways, which 8-8 is Lionsgate. So, this is, I feel like there's going to be a day where you just wake up during this time period, and something's going to click. There's going to be an epiphany. There's going to be something where you realize this is the solution. This is, you're going to feel such a strong pull that you can't ignore it anymore, and you're going to know what you need to do. And, it is going to involve a transformation. It's going to involve, communication, communicating something to someone, because you have the Page of Swords here. But I feel like, when I see this one, it's kind of like writing a new chapter, right? It's kind of it's a delicate situation. It's a tightrope, but you have, like, the keys, like the roadmap. You know what to do, and you're being supported by spirit. That's what all this is here. These epiphanies that go on, the light bulbs that go off. It's a matter of you sitting down, you as the magician. That's a major arcana, and that comes after the Fool. So these are back to back. The magician is, and he has the infinity symbol in his head. Notice that. That's crazy. Very strong that something, in the next, I feel like very quickly, it could be very quickly for you. 8 days, probably not even 8 weeks. I mean, but, maybe by the 8-8 Lionsgate, I would, start setting intentions for what it is you want. What, you have all the tools within you. What do you want your life to look like? Can you imagine yourself in the same situation you're in now, be it a job, be it a friendship, be it a romantic relationship? Can you imagine, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, being in the same situation with no changes in the other person, with no balance, with no, them not putting in the transformation and the work? So, that's your answer, right? And I feel like what you want is out there. What the life that you want to create, is going to come for you. There's victory and success there. That's your outcome. But it may require you to move forward. It may not come in the situation you're in. There has to be some sort of a shift, some sort of a transformation. So what you're going to have to decide is, can that happen, within the situation that I'm in? Or is this evolution just continuing with me, right? And I'm continuing to evolve and grow, and eventually it's like I have to break free because I'm being held back. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting, we have also on the bottom of the deck, the 5 of Swords. That can be, just very much, in your head. Like, that's an energy of betrayal, where, the person might be blindsided, or you might be questioning yourself, like, are you making the right decision? But, Judgment's here, and that's another major arcana. And that's, again, another card of, like, surrender and release. It's like Judgment Day. It's Judgment Day. And are you going to follow your soul and free yourself? Or are you going to stay stagnant? And I feel like in this time frame, and as an earth sign, sometimes, being safe, being secure, just, plodding forward, keeping working and putting in the effort, we feel like a failure as an earth sign if we just stop working and then we make like a shift, a decision, it's like, but this time having that fire behind us, of the Lion's Gate and Leo season, sometimes gives us that shift we need. And here we go. This is, the Star. This is another major arcana. And that is like, reminds me of like the Sirius, tying up into that energy. But Star is about healing, but it's also about alignment. It's about fate. And it's like this situation, if it runs its course, it's helped you grow, but, it served its purpose. And if that other person's not going to grow with you, it's time to move forward. And that's something that you have to trust is meant to happen. Because what's coming is a situation, Three of Pentacles, where, there is equal give and take and effort and teamwork put in, right? I feel like that very strongly when you have the Three of Cups and the Three of Pentacles, that there's a, like, community for you to be, it might be a job situation where it's a lot better of a supportive of an environment, but, having time to do these things. And just people who are like-minded, people who are of a similar vibration. It doesn't mean that the person or the situation you're in now, that's not a good person. It's just you've gotten to the point where you've outgrown that. And again, you're just feeling this calling to move forward. And if that person can't meet you there, maybe they can support you while you're there. If they're willing to do that, that's great. But I feel like there could be still this stifling, because there's not a resonance anymore, and maybe you're afraid of leaving them behind, so you kind of just halt your work, and you're not, striving for as much more because you don't want to intimidate them or, leave them behind. All right, let's look at an earth sign vibe. Just see if there's a shadow or an energy of, being an earth sign that wants to work with you during this time. Okay, we've got frugal. So it could be, a fear around money. The situation, where you're like, it's hard to maybe leave because of a financial situation. That I know it's easier said than done, but I'm getting that, if you're filling that pool, if you're filling that calling, this is a card about a leap of faith. So, if you put it out there in the universe that you do want to move forward and move on and start setting those intentions and make that decision, then doors may open for that to happen for you. Frugal could also mean, for, a job change, that it might be a little bit less pay, but it's something you're really passionate about and you're afraid of, like, making that decision. And it's like, this could lead to a lot of other things. Maybe it frees up your time to where you can do the community events, pursue a side business, something like that. I'm also getting that maybe this person isn't supportive of, you spending money on bettering yourself, on those endeavors. And it's something that's gotten to the point where, you want to free yourself from that situation. And like I said, not walk on eggshells anymore, and pursue your ideas and your dreams. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Like I said, if you'd like to look into your specific situation, the information to schedule personal reading is down below.